Her mother was a baroness and a ballerina. She went to convent school. She was posh. Marianne Faithfull could never be, and never was, ordinary.
Andrew Oldham, you were the person who discovered Marianne Faithfull. Is it literally possible to go to a party, pick out someone with no evident talents, and make a star of her?
Yes.
A couple of aspiring music moguls saw gold when they first spotted the 17-year-old Marianne Faithfull. As with everything in the 60s, it all started at a party.
How did it all begin, Marianne?
Well, I went to a party and there were lots of famous people there. The Rolling Stones were there, and Millie and Crystal, and all these people.
It was just amazing the way she'd walked into the room, and literally it was like somebody was standing at the record player and turned the volume down. Everybody went, ooh. And Mick said to Andrew, she's a star.
And they came up and said to the person I was with, and can she sing, see? And he said, well, I shouldn't think so, but she's all right.
They started talking about me as if I wasn't there, which was one of the most strange things about the 60s, that if you were a girl or a woman, nobody spoke as if you had a brain or as if you could talk.
Without hearing her sing, this girl had a presence. This was the girl that you knew was for the age of the Beatles and the Stones, and so it didn't really matter how she sounded.
Within weeks, Marianne was in the studio with a debut single written for her by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards.
I took the acetate back, played it to my family. They didn't think much about it, and I forgot about it. And suddenly there was a job, and I had to leave school. And of course, you know, you wouldn't be a normal little girl if you didn't want to get away from your mother and go to London and live in a flat and all that stuff, you know.
From St Joseph's Convent School to the top 10, Marianne's beauty and apparent innocence instantly fascinated.
There's a little bird that somebody sang.
Andrew's greatest ability was to look at an artist and take the basic raw data and put it into a package that was what the media wanted.
He's light and fragile.
Everybody fell in love with her, and they loved this convent girl image, and she played the part really well.
So thin and graceful, the sun shines through.
But Andrew knew the public would only want an innocent for so long.
I built up a friendship with Andrew Oldham. He said, look, I've got to do something with Marianne. She's got a great body and all this and all the rest of it, but people just see her as this sort of convent girl, really. She just did everything she was told. I mean, if Andrew Oldham said do that, she'd do it, because that's the way things were. He ran everything entirely. She was treated, I thought, like a commodity.
I liked the fact that Terry O'Neill's pictures were going against the sort of virginal little girl image. If I'd known anything or understood anything about anything, I would have avoided it, because it would, eventually, I would begin to hate being seen as a sexual object, and that would be all people would see.
Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away.
In the 60s, Marianne was the ultimate it girl and friends with all its boy geniuses.
In yesterday, suddenly, I'm not half the one I used.
But despite all her hard work, Marianne's career and relationship with her management began to run out of steam.
Andrew was the great believer that pop stars should be available. He lost his love affair with Marianne because of John Dunbar. Because married, she had the baby, and it ruined the image that he created.
I said something wrong, I
Marianne's marriage was short-lived, and a Rolling Stone bounded into her life.
I went down to Bristol to see the Stones play, and it was really wonderful. It was like a revelation.
Yeah, the place is packed. Front doors was locked. Yeah, the place is packed. And when the police knocked,
I hadn't really understood it until then. I'd never seen them play live before. And I ended up that night with Mick. And so Mick started calling me all the time. I mean, this is an awful thing to say because I did fall in love with Mick, but I wasn't making money. And I was beginning to feel very insecure. And so when Mick started calling me, I thought, this is a way out. I then stepped into that very privileged role of Mick Jagger's consort.
Marianne gave Mick culture. Mick gave Marianne rock and roll.
please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste.
It's very hard to describe how she had this knowledge and charm and breeding and character that everybody wanted a piece of. There was somebody who knew about the theatre, who knew about Chekhov and knew what books to read. And Mick loved her for it.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guessed my name.
What I gave to Mick was just my mind and my education, everything really. And that was very interesting. He had somebody to talk to about all these things, and we did talk a lot.
She went from being Marianne Faithfull the pop star to Mick Jagger's +1.
I thought that the only thing I could do was be the muse, the beautiful girl on the arm. But of course it was not a high self-esteem choice, let's put it like that.
I was puzzling you.
The establishment were to bring down rock and roll's royal couple.
Evidence that an unnamed naked woman was sitting on a sofa with a rug around her when police raided Keith Richards' house at West Wittering was given in court today.
We went down there to take acid, and the News of the World tapped the phones, and then 25 cops walked in and busted us.
Everybody must get stoned.
I was the only woman there, and of course I was very easy and free. So this thing about the fur rug and me being naked and all this stuff, and the shock, the public shock that this little song thrush could, I don't know what they expected.
It was really the benchmark case because the politicians and the judges wanted to stop sex, drugs and rock and roll coming to the UK. And Marianne was part of that. She was really right in there.
It didn't do her any good, Marianne. It did the Stones a lot of good.
I became Miss X, and awful jokes went round. Horrible things, and terrible letters were sent to me, really nasty. And then I began to believe that, and that was the beginning of a very difficult period.
If you ask me, I guess I have to say that of course I took drugs like everyone.
Marianne was spiralling into drug abuse and depression. Things worsened with the death of her close friend, Rolling Stone Brian Jones.
Brian died, which had a very bad effect on me. And I got very, very depressed after that.
I saw her today at the reception.
I was in a very sorry place and had a lot of inside pain and problems.
You can't always get what you want.
Marianne became a serious drug addict. And the situation with drugs, as Andrew always taught, nothing wrong with the drugs as long as you're their master.
She ended her relationship with Jagger and found herself living on the streets, addicted to heroin.
Tell me, Sister Morphine, when
In 1979, Marianne went back into the recording studio.
At the time, when I made Broken English, I believed, I was always very dramatic, and I believed I wasn't going to live after that. I thought I was going to die after Broken English. And to me, what Broken English was saying, like, right, this is my last chance, I'm going to lay it out.
at the age of 37, she realized she'd never ride through Paris in a sports car.
There is that thing of when you listen to her sing, you can hear that she's been through things, and when she sings a song, it's like someone telling a story to you. I think that's what I like about her singing.
I am a muse, not a mistress, not a whore.
Marianne Faithfull was never just a muse. With Broken English, she became an artist. In the last 30 years, she's continued to make critically acclaimed albums with the rock elite.
It just sort of slowly, like climbing a granite cliff, it started to get better. I'm still sliding through life on shine.
She is Marianne Faithfull, and she's unique. I've never met anybody else like her.
I sit and watch as years go by. It's taken me a long time to understand that I have done it. I'd had to take a breath and say, listen, you just calm down now. This is all fine. You can do anything you like, and I can.